This review is half completed due to the recording footage being long. With that being said, we decided to make the full review be split up into 2 parts. So please sit back, grab your beverages, and enjoy the full review.
Welcome to the Retro Anyway, the Retro Warriors. My name is Joseph A.K. Barlock of the Leaf Fires. I'm Retro leader of this wonderful group itself, and I'm going to go ahead and let my comrades introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. It is your favorite wild card and shaman queen Kurasa here. Back again with another episode of Retro Warriors, as always, with these lovely people, my fellow underlings in training.
I'm gonna
Anyway, second command of Retro Warriors and sarcastic researching bastard Hazard of Chaos.
Don't worry, guys. We're still trying to find his lab. Don't worry about it.
Yep. Who keeps saying I'm a fucking bad scientist?
Uh-oh, back to the lab again.
God damn it.
Oh, God.
Hello, I am the quote-unquote retro goddess, Lady Multiverse, but everybody calls me Black Rose.
But some people still know her as Lazy, but we'll get to that eventually.
Yes.
Anyway, so welcome back to another wonderful episode of Retro Warriors. Before I introduce what show we're doing and our little guest here, who's quiet at the moment, but will ever introduce herself in a moment. For those who don't know what we do, if you haven't been watching all the episodes, basically what we like to do is basically from the good old 1900s or earlier, all the way up to the 2010, I would have to say, is when cartoons were great back then. So we decided to bring it back and basically binge watch it, gather notes, talk about it, and review it for you guys, and see if it still holds up for a taste of 2020 or 2021. I say 2020 because we kind of started doing this shit in 2020 in a way.
2019.
Well, you get my point. But yeah, because sometimes most shows after 2010 kind of bombed a lot. So we just basically do that, and we just bring you all the entertainment. So on this special edition of Retro Warriors, today we're reviewing
Kaiba, じいちゃんの魂のデッキにかけてお前に勝つ
Yu-Gi-Oh! Before we continue on and all of that, and I have talk about the show, we're going to have our guest introduce herself. Say hello.
Hello.
You want to tell her who you are?
Yes. I am Mizuki Ravendale, also known as by some people here as the Foxy Floof, or just for the heck of it, they like calling me the Tsundere Foxy Floof.
Which is true.
Yeah. Shut up, Hazard.
No.
Or in the comments, or as most people know her as the cute Foxy Floof, because she likes to be adorbs.
No! Don't
Or the bringer of death.
I am the bringer of death. I will get you.
Anyway. So I know what y'all thinking. I know what you guys are thinking. Why review Yu-Gi-Oh? Because I'm pretty sure everyone and their mothers know it. Well, here's the thing. We only reviewed it because, let's be honest, it's one of the good series. And to be honest, probably saw from the special intro crossing made alone and all that. It's basically Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been going on for a good long time, ever since the card games, the manga, and the anime, and all them shit.
It's going to one gigantic franchise. And, yes, of course, we'll probably should address the obvious. Yes, we are dressed up as duelists because, fuck it, why not?
Yes, but Mizu's a little outplaced because we didn't have an outfit for her, but that's okay.
It's fine.
Though, I'm pretty sure all 5 of us can agree with me when I say this. Yu-Gi-Oh! Today, when it comes to show-wise, can really jump the shark a bit.
I will now commit jump die.
Yeah.
A bit? I'd say a lot.
Well, you know my point. So, I think we're all pretty much knowledge to all what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is and stuff, but for the audience who haven't actually seen Yu-Gi-Oh!, because I would be surprised, because y'all must be living under a fucking rock.
I mean, to be fair, we did also say we were reviewing shows from our childhoods and such. Though
yeah,
anything
but-
past 2010 is not a guarantee, if at all.
I know, but come on, man, it's fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! How can you not hear of it?
To be fair, it came out in the 90s, dude. Come on.
Well, no, I mean, like, here's the thing, though. You could talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. That time came in the later 2000s. You know this.
This is true.
So if they haven't heard any of those three, then I'm just disappointed. Anyway, go ahead and talk about...
and disturbed.
Oh, and by the way, for this review, we're only focusing on the main Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. GX and 5Ds will have their own personal reviews. Oh, and I forgot to mention one more important thing. When it comes to this part of Yu-Gi-Oh!, we're going to only review the more plot point important arcs, which I'm going to say is the Duelist Kingdom, the Battle City, the Awakening of the Dragons, and basically somewhat of the Zork arc and basically the ceremonial duel thing. But that's besides the point. The other arcs, the arcs we will not be mentioning is the virtual reality arc and that hologram.
The Capricorn Grand Prix. I'm trying to think. It's been a while, you bitch.
I know, but I'm trying to cut me off. But yeah, the Capsule Corp Grand Prix, the virtual reality world, both of them with the where they fight Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters and all that, and the frickin'
Yeah, while those were filler, they were mainly there for the purpose of certain character development points and not much else.
Yes.
And we will we'll only touch very briefly on certain topics like Season 0 because it's where, you got the baseline, all that. But yeah.
If anything, Season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Will possibly have its own review thing because that's a little more different from what we were reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and don't be surprised if some of us, mostly Crossy, Zammy, and I, maybe has it a bit, might make some slight jokes from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge by Little Karibo. Go watch that shit. It's great.
It is
Yugi,
great.
Little.
Anyway.
Damn it, Justin! Touch my boobs!
Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty before we die of laughter.
As it load up the computer and tell us about Yu-Gi-Oh! Would you please?
Already on it. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is basically centered around this timid, short kid named Yugi Moto, who's basically a big gaming nerd, but he's bullied a lot. And of course, this whole shebang starts off with him solving this ancient millennium puzzle that his grandfather got on an archaeological dig. Basically, whenever he's been bullied or some such, or something crazy happens, he transforms into this mysterious figure known as Yami Yugi.
Puberty hit him like a ton of bricks.
Basically, whether it be cards, dice, role-playing board games, etc., he'll take on any challenges from anyone, anywhere. As the series goes on, basically, Yugi grows character-wise, and basically, they'll learn that there's a mysterious presence or spirit within that puzzle. And they'll basically go through many trials as they basically risk their lives to, reach the end of the journey that this series goes through.
So I'm going to be honest, if you were just telling people certain characters about what Yami Yugi is without any context, it could be really stuffed. Like an old man inside of a young boy's body without any context whatsoever. That's going to raise some suspicion.
So you're a guy inside of a guy. Well, when you put it like that, definitely gay. I'm not gay! Gay!
It's not... If you think about it, it's not a massive spoiler.
Well, no, but I'm just saying without context, you know what I mean?
I gotcha.
People will think of the wrong way, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha.
But point is, yeah, I guess we kind of talked about Yugi a bit in the show and stuff, but anything else you want to tell us about good old Yugi or the Pharaoh?
Okay, essentially, and this is where it gets a little trippy. Basically put, the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Started out would surprise the shit out of you, believe it or not. Apparently, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Initially started out as a horror story. Or at least it was intended to be a horror story type of manga. It was created by the legendary Kazuki Takahashi himself, who basically was the brains behind the first 3 Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, most notably GX and 5Ds as well. He actually played a major role in story writing it.
By the way, I want to... Sorry to cut off, but I do want to include some of us, mostly Zemi, has been reading the mangas, though her memory's a little fuzzy at the moment. But she can confirm that the manga is a lot different compared to how the show is.
I mean, there's some notable aspects of it that you can see is equal to the anime. Most of it, from what I remember, is from Season 0, which was like when Yugi got like the puzzle from his grandpa and he was putting it together, and all of the shadow games and the, you know, murderous shit that Yami did with a whole bunch of people. If anybody remembers that alcohol incident. Yeah, that was in the manga too.
Like basically almost everything from season 0 and the second series was pretty much in the manga for the most part, with a few notable exceptions.
Yeah. So if anything, if you want to talk about like a time slot where, when Yu-Gi-Oh started, you could probably say this whole events of Yu-Gi-Oh started legitimately after the end of Yu-Gi-Oh season 0 in a way. Basically,
if you're focusing strictly on the animated series done by Studio Gallop, yes.
Exactly.
And also, before I get too far ahead of myself, we'll be focusing mostly on the sub version of this because that's where the source material is basically at.
It's not that we don't have much against the dub or anything like that. It's mostly because the dub has censored and cut out a lot of things, which we will also be doing.
Essentially written a lot of critical plot points at times.
For most of the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and possibly other anime shows we might review, give or take on the situation, most of the shows we will be reviewing will be in Japanese sub, not dub, because of what they censor and hidden. But if anything, we will most likely look back at some of the dubs just to compare notes in a way.
Yes, but we'll be touching on the whole sub versus dub issue very, very briefly at best.
Yes, because we don't want to have an argument or make it a topic about that. That could be its own thing. But for now,
the dubs that aren't touched by 4Kids are safe, right? That we can review.
That's debatable because most
depends on the series,
and because of that, because for 4Kids dub, they will censor shit like how most thing is. Hell, you can tell what is censored by the card pictures or certain things. Like everyone's favorite fucking thing in Yu-Gi-Oh, the Millennium Finger Gun.
Oh yeah, I can't forget the finger guns. Anyway, getting more to the point, basically put, the title of Yu-Gi-Oh itself, though most people may not realize this unless you listen closely to the first series intro, it's literally King of Games. There's no easier way to say it than that.
It's kind of plain and simple.
Yes. In fact, according to my notes here, when he first planned out this series, Kazuki Takahashi wanted to draw a horror manga. But somewhere along the way, it turned into a manga about games. Though obviously there's some horror elements still in there.
Well, given how basically they legitimately went from a children's trading card game to making monsters more holographic and realistic, of course there'll be some horror factors to it.
Actually, it was more because Season 0 expanded more heavily on the horror aspect, more than people would think.
Well, I don't mean Season 0. I meant for the...
I know, I'm just saying, like, it's really obvious in the first few seasons and loosely throughout the rest of the series. You just have to know where to look.
That's true.
In this case, at the time, because there was been so much fighting manga, Takahashi had a hard time coming up with something very original. So he went with the idea of making a fighting manga where the main character doesn't actually hit anyone, but also he had to struggle with that limitation as well. But once he figured out using games as a medium, he basically had an idea going right then and there. So when he planned this series out, he also basically decided to use stuff that he personally enjoyed instead of just, focusing on the younger demographic. And one of his main plot points when he wrote this series was communication between people, which is often used in, basically playing games together, playing games against each other, etc., etc. And he basically said that his own personal opinion was that he feels quality communication, it just isn't 100% possible over the internet. In fact, the card game as we know it today was not meant to be a permanent thing, believe it or not. In fact, it basically, from my notes it says there's a positive message for readers that each person has a strong hidden part or human potential within themselves. And that hidden part emerges through hardship. That was the main point of this series when he first wrote it as well. In short, he's a big gaming nerd who loves video games and pretty much all kinds of games.
Kind of explains that one episode how when little Yugi's in the puzzle and you see that one room where he's got a bunch of, like a video game console in there and shit.
Yep. In fact, Yugi's overall character was loosely based on the creator himself.
That's kind of funny how basically you could create a character based on yourself and kind of turn it in your own way.
And
So,
of course, there's a little bit of a tidbit to remember between you know how to basically say in the dub it's 5,000 years with like the pharaoh was locked away in the Million Puzzle.
yes.
In this case, it's not entirely accurate. In both the manga and the subbed anime, it's 3,000 years. It's
Well,
just that for some reason the dub changed it to 5,000. They didn't explain why.
honestly, 3,000, 5,000, still pretty long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it mattered. But
Any of
so
your
we're
thoughts on this?
so
Guys?
yes,
Like,
ladies, any thoughts you wish to share?
Hmm.
No, not really.
Not that I could think of at the
I will
moment.
admit I didn't know the 5,000 and 3,000 year thing was an
yeah,
actual.
you'd have to watch both sides of the coin very closely.
Like simultaneously. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like
So we
what?
basically.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You finish your sentence. I'll finish. I'll ask my question
I was gonna
next.
ask basically, what's everyone's thoughts on the whole Takahashi intended this to be a horror story?
I mean, I've from the beginning of the manga. I did see like horror aspects of it, but
I can
Honestly,
agree with Sammy on that one.
I know the manga had some horror stuff to it, from what I've heard. But here's the thing: how I got introduced to Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. It was like, funny enough, it was on my YouTube recommendation. I thought it was one of those old anime OVA type things. You know what I mean? It's because of how it was animated style. It's just like, oh, it must be an OVA and stuff. And the scene, it wasn't like an episode. It was one of the scene. And basically, it was the scene that Zambi brought up. It was the one where Yugi switched to the Yami, and he fought that dude with the liquor and lighter dude. And when I first saw that, I was just like, what's this got to do with Yu-Gi-Oh again?
If you're looking at season 0, you're essentially looking at the very beginning. Like you're looking at the.
Oh, yeah. No, it was in sub.
Yeah, I know that it's only available in sub. Sadly, like when they
Oh, okay.
first drafted the Yu-Gi-Oh Season 0, or essentially the first series anime, it was originally going to be subbed only. And also one other notable thing from the Season 0 to the second series, one of the characters is absent from the series, Miho Nosaka. They pretty much wrote her out as of Season 0.
Mm.
Which is kind of sad because she would have made a good addition to the group, though. I mean, it kind of made sense because they were like a 5-person kind of group.
Back to it. So we talked about little Yugi for a bit, correct?
We've only touched on them very, very briefly right now.
So,
But
so go ahead.
before we go on to characters and such, like, anyone got any opinions on what we've said so far? Like,
Not really. If anything, it just piques my curiosity how we kind of went from horror thing to, it's kind of like how we got from this to that type of situation. You know what I mean? It just kind of piques my curiosity thinking, you know what I mean?
makes sense. Mizu, Crossy, Zammy, your thoughts?
I pretty much agree with what Justin said.
Mm-hmm.
I third that.
Yeah, because it's like, it's one of those situations. It's like, usually, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, with all the horror and murder, it definitely went from 0 to 100 on a scale, on those fucking scales of like, what the fuck and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, how do we go from this to that? You know what I mean? You can't really, because once you see it, you can't really forget it, and you can't really. It's just like you change a thing from the episode or something that's happened, this or that. It's like, no. You can't expect me to change subjects that quickly and shit without any explanations. It's just like, it confuses me and makes me question, like, again, like how we gone from this to that.
Especially how they
I'm
introduce
not
certain characters.
it's not really that I'm judging like how Yu-Gi-Oh is now compared to Season 0. No, not at all. I'm just saying how we went from murder and stuff to possible almost more damage, murder-like danger in Yu-Gi-Oh with card games and all that.
Oh, we
But
can't forget the death matches
exactly.
or the souls ripped out and all that stuff. But we'll cover that in a minute.
Like I said, it makes you wonder how we gone from this to that type of situation, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
especially with such a light-hearted kid at the center of it.
You know,
Yeah.
I have to ask, given how I'm pretty I always wondered if Yugi has ever gotten therapy from all this stuff.
You know,
'Cause
It
good
does make you
question.
wonder.
Because it's not that I'm not saying about the whole Pharaoh thing or the murders or anything. It's just like the legit thing where Yugi's been dramatic experiences through what he's dealt with in season 0, going through that before the Pharaoh comes in and kicks ass. You know what I'm saying?
I
Yeah,
hear
I
that.
think
I
After you think
legit
I might
wonder.
have depression.
Yeah, like legit. He's probably not all up there in there mentally in the moment.
But
It
yes,
just
we
makes me wonder.
might as well move on to characters at this point, since Yugi's literally the first one on the list. Basically, Yugi is the reincarnation of Yami Yugi, more modern day. He lives with his grandfather and his mother, though his mother was only seen in season 0. And he's basically has his group of friends: Joey, Tristan, Taya, and Bakura. He's very childlike, extremely shy and forgiving, gifted with all types of games, is not afraid of losing any games, and was taught duel masters by his gramps. Also has defeated pretty much every rival protagonist with help from Yami Yugi. Honestly, also saved several former enemies through dueling, ironically. And has a massive crush on his childhood friend Taya. I'm gagging from the thought that on the grounds of, well, Taya annoys me, but we'll get to that in a minute. And technically owned 3 Millennium items throughout the entirety of this series: the puzzle, the rod, and the necklace.
Rod.
Ha!
A rod.
He pretty much spends almost the
Shut up,
entire
Cecil.
series helping Yugi recover his memories. So, thoughts on Yugi? I'll give mine in a minute.
Well,
He's a
before-
precious baby panda.
You want me to be really honest?
Go for it. I want to hear this.
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
would
Nope.
do this
Justin.
too.
In most situations, little Yugi's kind of a bitch.
I
I'm not
know.
gonna lie. Like I'm not trying to insult him or saying he's a bad character. No, it's just like, yeah, his spine is a little needs improvement. He has gained some character growth in a few seasons, is all. But at the beginning, he just, it's hard. Like, he is a precious boy, like Mizu said, but he just easily gets pushed around a bit. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
yes, he does.
The only spine that grows is like when he's facing Bakura, like in season 5, because he doesn't have a Tem. He has to do on his fucking own.
Not
yeah.
just then. Not just then, actually. I have to point out 2 other times, to be fair, hun. When he faced off against Pegasus, and when he faced off against, Bandit Keith.
In a way, yes. But there were, yes, and there were other times when he had to do it without Yugi. I mean, he even fought Rebecca without using the Pharaoh.
Pegasus, in a way, because he had it going on when they weren't in the Shadow Realm. In the Shadow Realm, yeah, he fucking.
We'll expand on that in a minute, hon.
Yeah, Mind Shuffle and all that, and you can't forget about the duel against Rebecca there, Hazard.
I wasn't forgetting. I was just saying, like, when it comes to the Shadow Realm, we'll have to expand on that in a bit, because it's a pretty broad topic.
Also, I think we should probably mention this about the whole Millennium item stuff, or should we just save that for a different topic?
We might as well at least bring in the puzzle, since that was his first Millennium item. Since that is a plot critical point to Yugi.
Yeah, and it'll help us lead into the next character. But before we go, you two, Mizu, Zami, and Hazard, you guys got any thoughts on the character you wish to share?
Zami, Mizu?
I know, Crossy, if you want to share your thoughts, you can as well, because I know Mizu says he's a precious panda boy, but I'm just curious if you guys got any other thoughts to share.
Meh. I mean, he doesn't bring all that to the table. He's just there so that way Atem could take over, Like, he's not that interesting in the early seasons, like from season 1 to season 3. I guess.
I can see what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, I
Zami,
can see what she's trying to get at too.
Zami, what about you?
Fuck. I forgot what I was gonna say. I think, like, I heard this from somewhere, but I don't remember where. That Yugi's, not Yugi, but Yami's hair, whenever it stands up, it actually represents, like, the Egyptian, the Millennium items or something like that.
In a way.
I guess, in a way, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But honestly, all I can say is about little Yugi's okay. He just needs some, I guess, personality-wise,
therapy.
he just needs some. Yes.
Yeah,
Poor little
he
boy needs
does.
some therapy.
Yeah, he's been through Honestly, I question if any. Now that I think about it, throughout all of the adventures, I'm questioning if any of Yugi and his friends get therapy. Kaiba don't need it because he just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
Kaiba. He don't give a fuck.
He don't give a fuck.
Exactly. But
Alright.
back to the point. Yeah, I'm just questioning if Yugi and his friends got therapy. Hell, I wonder if his grandfather got therapy.
Well, to be fair, his grandfather was not involved in too many of those incidents, so...
No, I'm talking about his duel with Kaiba.
Fair point! But we'll get on that in a
Yeah.
minute. But before we go to Yami Yugi, I only have this one thing to say about Yugi. Like, for all it's worth, at least he's able to stand up for himself when it counts.
So back off, or we're gonna have a problem. A threat? Sure, why not? Now what's it gonna be, Kaiba?
Okay, Yami Yugi. He's basically, as revealed much like late into the series, he's revealed to be an ancient Egyptian pharaoh who essentially lost his memories when he saved the world. He's basically the more, I guess you want to say, more cocky and proud version of Yugi. And let's be honest, he did kick the shit out of one Seto Kaiba at least 3 times throughout the series. And has been the main target of pretty much nearly every antagonist throughout Yu-Gi-Oh! In at least in the original series anyway. If you look at Season 0, he initially took over Yugi's body without knowledge or consent. Yeah, thanks, Yami. You're real helpful for that.
Anytime.
But he did this mainly to protect Yugi and punish offenders. But eventually made an equal partnership.
Well, I get the whole protecting Yugi, but I feel like the way you put it in, just how he said took it over without consent, it almost feels like he was more just protecting so he has a body to live in and shit. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he basically took over but didn't, establish any middle ground with Yugi on this. He didn't really get Yugi's input if you look at Season 0.
Well, yeah. But then again, how can you really give input when it's just like a magical item that you didn't expect to have a curse or an effect on it when you put it together and put it on? You know what I mean? You don't really get to have a fucking conversation.
Yeah, but eventually they learn to work with each other, at least live with each other somewhat.
Well, of course, he's living free real estate in his fucking head. My point is, though, you can't exactly chat with a ghost who's like, "Hi, I'd rather you not possess my body. Too bad, I'm gonna do it anyway."
Visit him in a dream, you twat. You could have done that.
Yeah. Anyway, my point still stands.
Oh, by the way, real fun fact, in the manga, Yami Yugi and Yugi actually have 2 separate rooms in Yugi's brain. You guys know that?
Yeah,
that was actually shown in the anime, I think, once, thanks to Shoddy.
It was
it was Shoddy's.
Yeah, it was Shoddy when he entered Yugi's mind to look for the other Millennium Item, which I won't talk about too much because, you know.
Mm-hmm. One of them was Yugi's room, which was filled with toys and all the cool shit, and then Yami's room was just a big ass maze.
Because it's amazing.
He's a mystery man.
It's amazing. Maze.
God damn it. Anyway, thoughts on Yami Yugi?
If we're gonna be technical, Yugi's done most of the duels, and honestly, he's kind of cool and stuff, and he's very what's the word I'm looking for? He's got a lot of confidence, experience, and he's able to handle most situations, but I can tell though there are some situations where he does get a little panicky.
Yeah, like when Kaiba was, gonna commit suicide.
And with that, I will now commit jump die.
Long story
That's
short,
the weirdest way to win a duel.
Long story short, guys, Kaiba, out of sheer desperation against Yami Yugi, basically threatened to commit suicide if Yugi basically defeated him.
You know what the fucked up part was?
He was actually gonna do it, but Yugi stopped him.
Yeah. Legit,
Yugi stopped his dark half because Yami Yugi was about to go ahead with the attack anyway.
You know, I want to point something out. Now that I think about it,
what's up?
That's kind of a homage or on the nose to how Yugi was on Season 0, because he really hasn't acted like that in most of the other duels that he faced went up to that point. If we really think about it, and he just And all the times he decided, he's like, you know what, fuck it, I don't care if he dies, he's gonna do it. It was that moment. I'm just like, huh, that's just. And when you see that, it's just like, first thing when you see it, it's just like, what the fuck, Pharaoh? Is like you're concerned about that, and two, now that you're up to date, if you watch season 0 and this and all that, it kind of feels like it's a weird homage or a small hidden reference or Easter egg to it if you know it, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way, like, there are times when, let's be honest, his own confidence has literally been his biggest weakness. Case in point, when he faced Raphael waking the dragons.
I was gonna bring that up.
But yeah,
bring
go
what
ahead.
up?
When he was dueling Raphael and waking the dragons, his confidence kind of got the better of him, and things did not go well as planned.
That's because he was using the Seal of Orichalcos. To be fair, Raphael
Not
was
entirely that.
Raphael was provoking him.
Exactly. Because his confidence was his greatest strength, but also, as Raphael showed, his biggest weakness. And the whole how he took control during that specific duel against Seto Kaiba at Duelist Kingdom, I gotta point on something out here. This is the same type of shit he did when he took over Yugi to inflict shadow games upon people. You know, like the alcohol thing.
If anything, though, I feel like that Raphael duel, I feel like it almost showed like a desperation to win, because he just like wanted to actually win this because he had so little options and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he also takes losing far more harshly than Yugi.
Holy shit! We'll always love you! I can't believe you did this to me! God damn it! How could you do this to me?
Alright,
but
so
I will say,
aside
from the gridness, I feel like in a way, Yami Yugi and regular Yugi sort of had like this weird special bond, like almost like a father figure or kind of like an older brother type role model from what I could tell.
I'd say more of a brother thing. That much is obvious.
Yeah, especially that one day tape.
Is it because he's voiced by Dan Green? That's why he gives out the father figure thing?
No, it's also
that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
It's also seen the same way in the sub version too. Like,
I'm talking about how they basically bonded and how they well get along and work together and shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Because, you know, I don't think they ever explained this, and I'm curious about it. As you might know, have some information on this, but did they ever explain what the fuck happened to Yugi's parents?
Well, his father apparently, from what I could dig up, apparently walked out on Yugi and his mom. Or at least that's supposedly the story behind that. But as for his mother is there. Like, if you look at season 0, his mom makes at least a few appearances.
Oh, I must have.
It's true, she does.
It must have kind of blanked out of my head. But Daddy left for a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards and never came back.
And at least Yugi has his mom, unlike a certain someone we'll have to discuss next. Oh boy.
Ooh.
Yeah. Seto Kaiba.
Okay, here we go.
Yugi's biggest arch rival, basically Mokuba Kaiba's older brother who helps aid in his successes, virtually ruthless towards pretty much any opponent he faces, is hilariously a reincarnation of the Pharaoh's cousin.
I also learned that his father and my father were brothers.
Are you saying we're cousins?
And basically has suffered a huge history of child abuse and hardship. He's also an 18-year-old billionaire CEO of Kaiba Corp, which he basically bought out from his own stepfather/adoptive father.
When he was a child, mind you.
Yep. And was unknowingly the stepbrother of one Noah Kaiba, who is only in, the virtual world arc, but we won't go too into that one.
Didn't like Noah die or something?
Yeah, he did, saving Seto. Yep. So, as much as I don't care for Noah Kaiba, props to him, but moving on. He also built his own amusement park to basically make kids happy.
That was actually one of his childhood goals when he was a kid, and he was actually still with Mokuba in the orphanage, and he said he was going to build Kaiba Land so all the kids could be happy.
It was a reason why he took control of Kaiba Corp. His dream for both himself and his brother. And also is a proud owner of the 3 legendary Blue Eyes White Dragons and refuses to bow to anyone.
You know what's funny? Blue Eyes White Dragon is technically one of the strongest cards and stuff, but ever since the show progressed, more powerful cards with stranger effects always seem how to beat it. You know what I mean?
True.
I find it funny.
Well, it was the strongest card of the time when you know.
Yeah.
But
not to mention, there's an unspoken rule thanks to Blue Eyes. Unless you happen to have a monster with specific summon requirements or has a really powerful effect, Blue Eyes White Dragon is technically the strongest normal monster in the game.
Pretty much.
But going further.
Yeah. Anything else to add to Kaiba, or should we just talk about
basically, if you look at, I have to point out the Season 0 comparison one more time here. Like, Kaiba, believe it or not, is a bit more tame in the second series than he is in Season 0 and the manga.
Oh god, yes. Real quick, I remember this bit of the manga. Kaiba actually killed people to get the Blue Eyes cards.
Yep, he did.
He traveled around the world and, like, committed murder.
Technically,
Honestly,
no. He drove his victims to suicide.
Huh. Ironic.
Yep.
I sense a bit of irony there.
No.
Yeah.
I sense a bit of irony there. I really do.
Now that is irony!
Honestly, all I remember about Season 0 Kaiba is that he had green fucking hair.
Oh god.
That was the only thing I remember.
Kaiba.
That was weird.
Yeah, that one notable GIF where he's staring outside the window and it's raining.
Oh god. He was a, well, I'm just gonna say, he's a fucking dick. I respect the man, but he's a dick. And while I've watched Season 0 recently, I can't remember every single detail, unfortunately. But, Krasi, Mizu, your thoughts on Seto Kaiba, since we already know Zammy's?
No.
White lightning, please. Thank you.
I think Seto is a good arch rival to Yugi and Yami.
Also a good fuck buddy.
God damn it, Sammy.
Only in your dreams.
Also, another tidbit that I remember from also reading the manga Season 0, Kaiba legit was willing to kill his own brother in the manga too.
This is true.
Oh, God.
The Def T games, which ironically was invented by Mokuba, not Seto. Mokuba was a little shit, let's be honest. Justin, your thoughts on Kaiba?
I find it weird how when it comes to certain other characters, he doesn't really lose, but he only loses to Kaiba because of plot. Yeah, he's a real great rival if he's only going to lose to him a bunch.
Yeah, let's be honest.
In all seriousness, he's alright with a character. I'm not saying anything bad about him. Though I feel like if I have to be honest, I like Kaiba a little more when some character development around the mid part of Duelist Kingdom and at the beginning of Battle City and forward.
Can't forget the Virtual World arc, as much as I can't believe I have to bring that up, because a good chunk of his
Virtual World?
The one where he met Noah. Actually.
Okay, because remember, there was 2 virtual reality situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Virtual World season, I should say, because as much as it's not particularly plot critical, it did play a huge role in Kaiba's development.
Yes. But you know what I mean, like I just went for Battle City and Onward and all that. As for Kaiba, he's a very interesting rival. He's he can really put up a good fight when he needs to. He's got some good strategy, and he's a very smart tactician and computer genius when it comes to technology. It really helps him out in most situations. With Kaiba, he's all right.
If you look at the reasons to why Kaiba does what he does, you can't help but sympathize with him at least a little bit. Because
he does it all for Blue Eyes.
I was talking mostly about his overall long-term goals.
Honestly, I don't care what you say. Any man that builds a Blue Eyes White Dragon jet for a living, I think there's a little issue that needs to be developed here. Kaiba, I think it's time for an intervention. Never! I will love my blue eyes to the end. Free!
There's actually a deeper connection to that, but we'll get to that later.
I know.
Actually,
I'm making jokes.
I know, but I'm just stating facts.
Your facts are lies.
Moving on, one other thing
Well,
to
unlike
note.
you, the cake is a lie.
One other note I should make about Kaiba is the reason for his Blood is White Dragon fix is actually deeper than the jokes would have you believe. The reason for it being that in a past life he was, as I said earlier, the cousin of the pharaoh, basically. And to put a long story short, he had a connection with a young girl who had the power of the Blue Eyes White Dragon buried within her very soul. And they had a very strong bond. There was going to be a lot of character expansion on this bond, but due to time constraints, Kazuki Takahashi was forced to cut that one short. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, moving on from that, we have the next one on the list, Joey Wheeler. Okay, I'm just gonna get to the nitty-gritty on this one, because Joey has surprisingly a lot of backstory.
Honestly, though, I just want to put this out there. I feel like when it came to 4Kids, I feel like 4Kids really want to make a stereotypical New Yorker type character for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Because the sad part is Joey was, in some ways, personality-wise, was a lot like that. In both versions of the anime.
Exactly. Like, legitimately, like, I get there are some stereotypes and stuff, but they really went overboard with Joey, just a tad bit.
Uh-huh. So, put a long story short, Joey was taught how to duel by Yugi's grandfather, Solomon. He has a very troubled backstory. His dad's an alcoholic and alcoholic gambler who, unfortunately, apparently racked up a lot of debt to the point where Joey's mom up and left, taking his sister with her. And the thing was, part of the reason, this is not shown in the second series anime. The reason Joey stayed with his dad was a little deeper than one would have you believe. He stayed behind because, first off, he actually cares about his father, surprisingly, considering his dad's a piece of shit. But the other reason being that Joey felt it was his responsibility to at least try and help his dad pay off the debt. Which is why, essentially, if you watch Season 0, he tends to be a bit money hungry. But again, it's because he's trying to help his dad get out of the financial shit he's in. Nothing else, he has a sense of duty.
I doubt did his dad ever get the help he needed, or did he?
I don't think so.
Well, then
he tried, though. Give Joey credit for trying.
He did try.
No, I'll give him credit for trying. Then I'm just, if his dad didn't get any help, then he's just a lost cause from there.
Yeah, but Joey, like I said, Joey's backstory is a bit of a mess. Of course, his primary goal going forward was helping his sister who was going blind. And basically, he eventually succeeded in getting the surgery she needed. And here's the thing, that a little gross mistranslation on 4Kids part. The dub says $3 million, but it's actually 3 million yen, which translates to roughly $30,000 US. Give or take a few.
We dumb.
No, it was the assumption that $1 equaled a yen, but the value of a yen, I could get into a whole conversion thing, but I'm not gonna. Joey also used to be basically, I'm gonna be straight up honest, he used to be basically a hood rat and a gangbanger. Ironically got his ass kicked by a local school bully, and also dueled in tournaments to improve himself and aid Yugi. Almost defeated Yami Merrick, but lost literally due to a technicality.
また一人闇への生贄となってこの世から消えたな。黙れ、城之内くんはまだ死んじゃいない。
And of course, he has a love interest, Mai Valentine.
Or, in the sub, Kujaku Mai.
Which, essentially, I'll get into that in a second. Basically, he's hot-tempered but incredibly loyal. That's Joey in a nutshell. Which also goes back to a sense of, responsibility for his father. Who, again, is an alcoholic piece of shit. I've already said my opinions on Joey, so y'all can go have at it.
He has good character potential, I'll just say that.
If anything, when when it comes to most intelligence, Joey doesn't always. Here's what I have to say about Joey, and I'm sure the rest of you can agree with me. He thinks more with his heart and gut than more with his head sometimes.
This is very true.
Mm-hmm.
He's very hard-headed and stubborn most times when it comes to certain situations, but from what I remember in Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 shit, when little Yugi defended him and Tristan from a giant-ass bully and shit like that. So if anything, it shows that Joey has a good heart. He really does, in his own way. Joey is just... He's a bumbling idiot, yes, but he's, like I said, he's heart of gold, and he actually cares for a lot of people more than he did. Like, he really, really went out all of his way just to get money to help freaking Serenity's eye surgery, and God knows that ain't cheap.
Nope, especially considering that he had to cough up at least, I can only guess the minimal amount he would need for such a surgery, at least a few $1,000s, considering how delicate the surgery must have been.
And given how the grand prize from Duelist Kingdom was like, what was it? What, over $1 million or something?
Yeah, like $3 million.
So let me ask you something. If most eye surgeries cost like what, $1,000 or $2,000?
Mm-hmm.
And he got $3 million. It makes you wonder, did Joey use every single money of that grand prize on his sister and his sister alone just to make sure it worked?
Knowing Joey, I have a feeling he probably would have anyway if it came down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not saying Joey got greedy or he spent it on himself. No.
I don't think he would have. Knowing Joey, I feel like he would have probably given his sister at least a chunk of that money for, if she needed it. I don't see Joey just hoarding that money for himself.
No. That's not what I'm trying to imply. I was asking, like, if he's done other stuff with the money and stuff, or if he put it all in already. Because I feel like Joey would be the kind of guy who would use the money for charities type thing, in a way.
That, or help pay off his father's debt.
That is, well, how much is his father's debt now that I think about it?
They never stated it. And again, this was Season 0, which is only at best semi-canon. So we don't know how much of it applies to the second series at this point.
Well, so his money, that money could have disappeared to either his father's debt or all of his sister's surgery or his charity. But one of the three,
he could have kept a chunk of it, in case he needed it. Give Joey this much. He
investment.
At least he's somewhat responsible, given his temperament.
Though he has fumbled with his responsibility a bit here and there.
But he's tried his best.
Yeah, he really has. Anyone else want to put their inputs on Joey?
I quote,
"Fix your deck!"
For those who are wondering why Sammy said that at the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff,
He had nothing but monster cards in his deck.
That was the original series, thank God.
Yes, but not only that, they weren't even strong attack monsters. They were mostly like low star monsters and low attack monsters a bit too.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they fixed that over time. And hell, it's gotten to the point where a lot of Joey's better cards have been banned from tournaments.
For those who don't know, Joey uses warriors a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And a red-eyed black dragon, a lord red here.
What's mean a Blansta?
I don't know why he keeps that fucking monstrosity in his deck, but whatever.
It's adorable. Shut up.
Rocket Warrior is literally far more useful. I don't want to hear it.
You're far more useful.
And don't forget his most powerful monster in his deck, Guilford the Lightning. Get the fuck out of here.
But what about Red Eyes?
I said his most powerful monster, not his ace monster.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, his most powerful monster, I think, is Guilford the Lightning?
Yes, and with good reason. That thing is a Raigeki on legs.
Basically, for those who don't know what Guilford the Lightning's main ability is,
you sacrifice 3 monsters instead of 2. It destroys every monster on your opponent's side of the field.
And it was essentially his anti-god card. In fact, he almost beat Merrick with it. Long story short, Joey has come a long way from his days as a rookie and basically a chump to essentially being a champion in the making. Hell, I
actually want to bring this up, and I know it's a little spoiler-ish, but if you already watched it, So, for those who've seen Battle City, I remember we all know how Joey let Yugi keep Joey's red eyes throughout Battle City, right?
Yes.
So everyone in the comments can answer this, or give their thoughts and opinions about this. So Joey and Yugi had their final battle near the end of Battle City Arc, but we don't know what happens and stuff. So here's the question: did Joey actually beat Yugi, or did Yugi win and Joey he gave it back to Joey out of a good sportsmanship or respect, or did Joey somehow find another one? Because that card is fucking rare for one.
I have the feeling that Joey probably beat him, and here's why I think this. One, knowing Joey's character, I doubt he just simply accepts his Red Eyes back just like that. Remember, at the start of Battle City, when Yugi won Red Eyes back from that rare hunter, Joey refused to accept it. The reason being he wanted to earn it back on his own terms, which meant beating Yugi. Going by that logic and the fact that Joey did use Red Eyes again later on, it's somewhat safe to assume that Joey basically beat Yugi. I'm not going 100% certain, but I have a very strong feeling Joey probably did beat Yugi.
I'm gonna have to agree with Hazard on that one because Joey would not just plainly take it back from Yugi giving it to him.
Yeah, Joey's the type of person that will not just accept handouts. He's too noble for that. I mean, if you look at his character, it makes sense that my theory would actually make the most sense. I could be dead wrong, but that's the theory I have to stick with here.
I agree.
Sammy, what do you think?
The fuck you mean? Yugi is the queen of games.
Oh my god.
Well, Yugi
is the king of games. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Give your honest thoughts.
Nah, he most likely beat the shit out of Yugi.
I mean, probably not. Could be wrong.
Though, then again, I'm probably sure Yugi kind of blackmailed him that, like, if you say anything that I lost, you're a dead man.
That sounds more Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged type than normal Yugi, but alright.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, considering Joey had Red Eyes and Yugi never used it again, like, let's be real here. Yugi never used Red Eyes ever again after Battle City, so it stands to reason that Joey most likely beat him for it.
Oh, yeah.
That's fair.
That's just my reasoning. Because I had to look very close at this shit and looking at it, I had to do a bit of character analysis on Joey here. But we're getting a little off topic at this point. So, overall thoughts on Joey, guys, before we move on to the next one?
Fix your deck!
Not headstrong a bit, but stubborn, but heart of gold. Simple enough.
Yeah.
Joey is, he's got his faults, but he's a good dude. And the only issue I have with him isn't even his stubborn or dumb decisions at times. It's literally how I put this. Don't get me wrong, I respect his reasoning for it, but I don't like leaving everything up to luck, which is why I have an issue with Joey a little bit. But that's just me. And of course, a number of fans will complain about this, let's be honest. How he never picked up that Mai has a thing for him. Joey, you sap. That's all I have to say to you.
Joey, you blind motherfucker.
Until it was too late.
Anyways.
You had to let the bitch drive away now, did you?
Next one.
Apply the handbrake, you dumb bitch.
I'm just going to go to do this one because I'm pretty sure we'll get to this one extremely quickly. Tristan Taylor, or Hiroto Honda in this subversion, basically has that weird hairstyle.
I have one thing to say for Tristan, and Cross can edit this in. Just fuck already!
Burn the witch!
Just fuck already!
Basically, he's one of Yugi's closest friends. At best, he's a rank amateur duelist. His notable victories were several against Joey before Duelist Kingdom, but lost nearly every duel he was in on screen. He was more a fighter than a duelist, usually keeps a responsible outlook, which is true, and has epically failed at multiple times to win the heart of Joey's little sister Serenity.
Serenity, look! I'm finally becoming a man!
Also happens to be rivals with one Duke Devlin.
He's bringing sexy back.
God damn it.
No, we can't do that. We can't do that till we get to Duke. So Crossy, I do have a request when we do get to Duke. You know,
thoughts on Tristan?
His voice gives him super strength.
God damn it.
honestly, he's kind of like Joey, headstrong a bit, but because you can almost tell, like, the way those two act, they almost act like they're brothers in a way.
Oh yeah.
This is true. And he's also very responsible.
And it doesn't help that they act like they're brothers because they both have two different Ogre cards, Lava Battle Guard and Swamp Battle Guard.
That is also very true.
So
also,
if
to
that
point
doesn't
out one
show,
other thing.
yes,
He's kind of a massive simp for two different women in both series of the anime. Like, he simps hardcore for Miho Nasaka in season 0, but in the in the second series anime, he is practically like all over Serenity.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But
And poor Serenity has no clue.
Ah, thank you, Tristan. You're a good friend.
Anyone else with thoughts on Tristan before we move on to the next one?
I pretty much agree with everything you guys
I
said.
will. Honestly, Tristan's deck is still a confusion to me because I don't understand what kind of deck Tristan runs.
It's
Does he,
supposed to be a
run
machine deck.
It doesn't seem like a very effective one, especially if his favorite card is, or quote unquote ace monster, is that
Cyber
Commander.
yeah, Cyber Commander.
Points and does nothing.
To be fair, this was at the time when when Yu-Gi-Oh was still, slowly gaining popularity. So you didn't see a lot of very powerful cards at the time, unless you were Bandit Keith, because he's a schmuck.
But yeah, it's just that Tristan, like I said, Tristan's kind of like Joey in a way. So if in a way, the way those two act, and I forgot to mention this. We forgot to mention about this Joey. But I'm gonna bring it up now. The fucking chin face.
Oh God! In fact, there was actually an explanation for the chin face.
Can I explain it?
Go ahead.
Apparently, it's actually based off of a professional Japanese wrestler.
Yep, it is.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
In fact, it was actually.
I feel like the reason Joey does that, it's not just because to make the laughs. I feel like it's because it's one of Joey's favorite wrestlers. Because he seems like the kind of guy who watches wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yep. It was actually inspired by Antonio Inoki.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, I'll put a picture of this guy in the No Mic chat real quick.
It's so weird, like how that's a subtle reference, and no one really knew that. Like, not
no one
even
noticed
Hazard
unless
knew
you
that.
asked. The creator had to confirm this shit himself.
Yeah, I even brought this up to Azid, and he didn't know it.
I did not. I actually had to do my research on this. Oh, and believe it or not, Joey's not the only one to do the chin thing.
Yeah, Tristan did it too.
Guys, do you think when Joey has sex, when he climaxes, he does that face?
Oh God! Oh God! No!
Oh dear lord.
Hang on, let me think about it.
No! Let's move on.
Why are you thinking about it? It was a rhetorical question.
I'm actually thinking about
I
it.
hate whoever did this one. We're getting off track here.
I feel like it's a combination of the Joey chin and that Krillin face with his and shit like that.
Oh no.
Anyway, going back to Tristan. Anyone else have anything to say?
No, I have nothing else.
I have one thing to say.
So do I.
His hair has a boner.
Oh my God.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't argue with that one. So
his hairstyle concerns me a bit.
Alright, I got one more thing.
That is.
Just fuck already!
Well,
if
that
you're gonna say
and
that, you gotta leave it to a professional. Just fuck already.
supposedly, I just remember supposedly, he may have been indirectly inspiring the idea of card games on motorcycles of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, but that was more of a running gag than anything else.
I think let's move on to the next character.
Taya Gardner, aka Anzu Mazaki in the sub version.
All in favor of skipping this character, say aye.
All right, keep
We have to go through with it, Justin, no matter how much we can't stand her.
Damn it.
Friendship, 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 friends, friendship, friends, friends, friendship, 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 friendship.
She is the childhood friend and crush of Yugi, and she barely has strong feelings for both Yugi and the Pharaoh.
Slut.
She once went on a date with the Pharaoh.
I feel like this could be a weird three-way if she really puts effort into it.
We don't know. Shut the fuck up.
It's okay. Put
She,
us in a
okay,
three-way.
I have to point this out, and Justin also was forced to acknowledge this as well, because he wanted to curl up and I remember somebody wants to curl up and cry when I mentioned this. Believe it or not, Taya's never lost a single duel in the entire series.
That she has not.
She's technically undefeated.
It hurts my soul. She has the worst deck from Duelist Kingdom, and it's only somewhat improved once, and that was in the virtual reality, and I don't want to talk about that one because that one's shit!
She never lost once, and I know some of you people in the audience are gonna go, bullshit! Nope, look at her record. She never actually lost.
She only had 2 wins, though. She's the worst!
She beat Joey multiple times off screen before Duelist Kingdom.
This is
That's
true.
That's like counting the fucking Bronx versus Yuma Tsukumo from Arc 5, though. That's bullshit.
Zexel, but
Zexel.
I'm tired.
Anyway, another two little tidbits about Taya. She basically dreams to be a dancer, and even illegally worked at a restaurant in order to pay towards this. And has also been victimized by multiple antagonists via mind control and kidnapping. In fact, in Season 0, she nearly got raped. Twice. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
There was this one creepy dude that wanted to take pictures of her, like, half naked or something.
That, and apparently, like, what was it? Someone was actually stalking her at one point. It gets weird.
Yeah.
To say the least, it gets really weird.
Yeah, it does.
Alright, that's pretty much all the protagonists. Yes, somehow Taya counts as the protagonist. Ugh, gag me with a spoon.
So who wants to talk about their feelings towards Taya?
I'm good for now.
I'm going to say it now. Taya annoys the unholy shit out of me.
You know, every time she makes the friendship speeches, and this will count for
tune her out.
This will count for every binge watcher watching Yu-Gi-Oh! An automatic skip.
Yeah, that's if you're watching the dub. Thankfully, she actually does this less in the sub.
Anybody want to say anything before I give my inputs?
Slut.
Considering her outfit and on Dark Side Dimensions, there are some who probably happily agree with you just to spite her.
She just seems like a weird girl and stuff. It's almost like dealing with a blonde almost and shit like that. And
yes, she's smarter than Joey at times.
Well, it's not hard to be smarter than Joey. You can't compare that.
Ouch.
Joey's technically a blonde if you think about it.
This is true. Though that poor bastard.
Yeah.
But look, aside from all her faults, she's a good friend, which she can be, and she's talented on the dance floor. If anything, she's got the skills to do the dancing like she wanted to be.
Pretty much. But moving on from her, I think that's all like I said, that's all the protagonists at this point. Unless anyone else has anything to say about this before we move on.
Fucking cunt.
Damn.
Oh my god.
I have to say this one more time. Remember, undefeated record.
Critic?
Yeah, and for all the people watching this, don't be surprised if this review takes a good while. We have a lot to go over, even if we condense the shit out of this. But yeah, going on to the antagonists now. So, Maximilian Pegasus, also known as Pegasus J. Crawford. He was a major antagonist in Duelist Kingdom arc. He had the Millennium Eye, basically tried to steal the Millennium Puzzle twice. He wanted to use the Millennium Items not for any personal gain, but to actually resurrect his dead wife. Because he loved her that much. He was willing to do whatever it took to get her back. Use this eye to read people's minds and steal people's souls. Also was a huge help to Yugi throughout the Waking the Dragons arc. Any thoughts on Pegasus before I say anything?
Ooh, Kaiba boy.
Oh
Kaiba
god.
boy.
I'm gonna say
Kaiba boy.
I'm gonna say this. As weird as he is to me now, I will have to say one thing. You can hate on Pegasus or make jokes all about him if you want, but if it wasn't for Pegasus, we wouldn't have most of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards we will have today.
He technically was he technically recreated Duel Monster, so give him that much.
Yeah, so give him that much credit. And
Not to mention that he almost died making the Egyptian god cards.
Yes, he almost did die, but I will say I always was interested in his Toon deck when I was a kid because, cartoons.
Cartoons in a cartoon.
No, cartoons in an anime.
Incidentally, Pegasus is a big cartoon nerd, much like how Yugi's a big gaming nerd. It's kind of mind-boggling to a degree why he would be such a villain, but as I said, his reasoning is actually pretty solid if you think about it. He's not doing it for particularly anything like, unlimited power or wealth. He just wants his wife back. Well, let's be honest. He goes through pretty much everything under the sun to do so. He even went as far as making dirty deals behind back doors. Basically, tried to steal Kaiba Corp not once but twice. Almost succeeded too. He basically kidnapped Mokuba to that end. Gotta point out, he also stole Yugi's grandfather's soul in order to force Yugi to basically play in his mind games. Again, all this towards the goal of getting his wife back. And you kind of once that part of him is revealed, you gotta feel at least a little sympathy for the guy.
He just wants some pussy.
He just wants to bring his wife back because he loved her too much.
Yeah.
He's flamboyant as hell. He's flamboyant as hell, let's be honest.
He fucking died or disappeared.
His wife died of a terminal disease. That much I managed to read up on.
Oh, because all I remember, I don't know why. I must be high or something, or I must be thinking of a different anime. I remember, they were at the wedding altar in the English dub and shit, and, she disappeared in roses or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I remembered. I honestly thought that was in
but it was actually because he had her buried with rose petals.
Or if you want to be technical in the Bridge series, she exploded.
Yeah, but again, it was a terminal disease that killed his wife because she was deathly ill when they got married.
Couldn't he just frozen her alive like Nora Farias and Batman?
I don't think the idea ever occurred to him, to be honest. That, or basically the disease was so bad that, at the very least, he tried to make what little time he had for count.
Or put her in a frozen stasis like how Delmon's dad was in G Gundam.
We'll get to G Gundam eventually. Don't worry about that. But honestly, considering the times, I don't think it was a viable option. But we're getting a little off track here. Like I said, Pegasus, for all his shit, for all his flamboyant nature, he's not the worst guy in the world, especially compared to the other villains. But he's definitely got some issues. Your thoughts, guys?
Honestly, like I said, aside from being a villain, Pegasus can be a respectable man, if you think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the card game that we know and love today. And he's very creative with these cards, from what I could tell.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you've seen how he did, in the episode with the whole painting the Egyptian god cards. It's very interesting to see how he painted them from how they were in the hieroglyphics, you know what I mean?
In fact, Pegasus blatantly admitted that a lot of the conceptual ideas for Duel Monster cards were literally from his own mind. The only exceptions were literally the Egyptian god cards. Those because he discovered them on a tablet.
Yeah, but it's very interesting how he was able to pull it off, you know what I mean?
And he hand-painted almost every original print, he hand-painted himself. That takes skill.
Speaking of which, I still find this weird and questionable today. How freaking Shadi just basically shoved the whole Millennium Eye in his head.
That's because the price of the Millennium Eye will cost you an eye. Hence the old adage, an eye for an eye.
I get that, but I didn't know if Pegasus even wanted that or consented to that whole idea thing.
I guess, well, considering that he was pretty much a desperate man looking for some way to, undo his wife's death, I mean, you can't entirely fault him.
Honestly, I'll give Pegasus credit due. For not much being a big-time villain he is in we see in the later series of Yu-Gi-Oh! He's an okay villain. He's got a good plot, he's got a good moral, and he's got a good thing and all that. You know what I mean? He's got some good villain attributes to him. You know
But
what
at
I mean?
the same time, he's not a full-on villain like most people would probably believe at the start. Yeah, he's a dick, but he has a reason. It's clear,
but
like,
you know what I
once you're
mean.
halfway through Exult's Kingdom, he has a reason for what he does. That reason, you don't find out till near the end, though. So that's the sad part. Spoilers for the reasoning, but there you go. Like, if you haven't at least heard of this series at this point, I have no sympathy for you.
But I think that's all I have to say about Pegasus.
Zami, Mizuki, Grassi, your thoughts?
I don't have much thoughts of Mr. Pegasus.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you guys said.
Guys, he just wants some fucking pussy! Give it to him!
I'm a virgin and I'm not okay. Please save me, I just want to get laid. God help me, I'm only...
Let's move on before we get stuck here.
Okay, this one's gonna be a bit of a doozy. Yami Bakura.
Now that I think about it, are we gonna talk about Nova Bakura and the?
We will. In fact, he ties into this one, but there's a reason why we're going with Yami Bakura first, because Yami Bakura basically was he's a complicated mess.
Complicated?
Yes.
That's putting it easily.
Put it this way, his past life, he was basically the king of thieves. He was also manipulated by pretty much the Lord of all evil himself, Zork Necrophage. We'll get into that later. He stole Pegasus Millennium Eye. He's basically a professional tomb robber, and likes to send people to the Shadow Realm on a whim. Or, if you want to go with the subversion, send them straight to hell.
Pretty much.
He's also literally the darker, more evil and sadistic half of the innocent real Bakura. Has basically teamed up with villains, which, as we all know, is a terrible idea long term.
Yep.
For those who don't know, if you haven't watched a lot of cartoons, movies, or TV shows or anime, everyone knows that villain team-ups never really last, because once they get to their goal, someone's going to get backstabbed in the end just because they get greedy for more power. That's why I always say, no matter how much the villains work well together, it's never gonna last.
Also, he's collaborated with Merrick to steal Yugi's Millennium Puzzle. He's tried to kill Yugi at least twice, and in fact, with their final confrontation, he almost killed the Pharaoh successfully. Basically put, like I said, he's a complicated mess. He's basically the result of being not only possessed and manipulated to be the puppet of the Lord of Shadows himself, but he's also, well, like I said, a tomb robber and essentially a sadistic psychopath.
So you say he's the king of thieves, right?
Yes, in at least his time period, yes.
Does he know the 40 thieves?
Probably. Well, probably. He lived in a village of. He grew up in a village of thieves.
Moving on, but
Thieves.
Who knows? With him, you never know.
Welcome to the 40 thieves.
Your thoughts on
Anything else?
Yami Bakura?
Honestly, if he wasn't after Millennium Items, he could be the next Jack the Ripper. I'm gonna be freaking honest with you.
I don't blame you.
He legit could be the next Jack the Ripper. That's how I see Bakura. I see him as a weird anime reincarnation of Jack the Ripper if he was more a little tamed. And what I mean by tamed, I mean tamed as what he does what the Jack Ripper does. Yet, because I would be concerned if he does. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't mean just to horse. I mean to almost every person he nearly met. I'm glad he didn't do that Pegasus. He just ripped out his eye.
Yeah, and this will, like I said, this will lead into Bakura himself soon enough. But we had to discuss Yami Bakura to give you an idea of just what kind of shit that the innocent side of him is dealing with.
Legit, Yami Bakura could be one of the most evilest motherfuckers yet fangirls want the fucking dick from him.
Pretty much.
I mean, I kind of want it from Merrick as well. So.
No, you don't want his dick. You want his tongue.
And in all honesty, where Bakura is concerned, to put it bluntly, Yami Bakura he's a psychotic mess.
Like I said, if he wasn't a guy who was after the Millennium Items or a thief or anything, he would most likely be one of those most popular psychopathic killers you would see in a horror movie or some shit.
Hell, season 5 gave him more screen time.
To be fair, he already had plenty of screen time beforehand. It's just he became the proper main antagonist around season 5. But he also basically has his reasons for why he does what he does, believe it or not. It actually ties into his really fucked up past.
Yep.
In the case of Yami Bakura, I really need to point this out real quick. He basically had the Millennium Ring, which originally there were no reasoning as to why he had the Millennium Ring, but it's revealed much later on that, he wasn't the original owner. He actually was. He stole the Millennium Ring from a trusted friend of the Pharaoh and, killed the original owner. But the reasoning for it is actually a little bit more dark than you might believe. Not dark in the sense that he wants to just take over the world. Oh no. It's because he's actually doing it for revenge. And
unadulterated revenge.
The best way I can sum up what happens with Yami Bakura past-wise, I'll just say it straight up. When he was known as Thief King Bakura, he literally, before he became the King of Thieves as a child, he literally was the sole survivor of a fucked up genocide. Where his own people, his entire village, all of his loved ones, he witnessed them all brutally rounded up and slaughtered to make the Millennium Items. We're talking, they went a bunch of soldiers and the pharaoh's and the previous pharaoh's own uncle secretly attacked the village of thieves, killed almost everyone in the said village, and literally melted down the remains mixed with gold and magic to make the Millennium Items.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now you see where the horror elements come in. That shit. So we're talking about literally people getting melted down to gold. Ain't that a bitch?
Are you sure Bakura doesn't need a hug?
He needs a hug and therapy.
He needs fucking therapy.
Too bad 3,000 years ago he didn't have such a thing.
He needs therapy more than a hug.
Exactly.
I think he needs his dick sucked.
For all we know, he probably fucked a few women along the way when he grew up.
I want everything this world's selling and eternity's topping the list.
But this much was clear. Because it was the Pharaoh's own soldiers at the time that was responsible for this. Keep in mind that the soldiers who were directly a part of this whole process don't remember it because the Pharaoh's uncle wiped their memories. But the process itself was so fucked up, the soldiers were literally going insane from, participating in it. And because of the fact that Bakura spotted them doing all this shit right in front of his eyes, he swore nothing but undying hatred and revenge towards the Pharaoh's family. That's why he basically wants to Millennium Items. Part of it to put his people to rest once and for all. The other part for pure revenge and just outright hatred.
Man, at this point, Bakura doesn't need to get his dick fucking sucked. He needs to fuck someone. He needs to dick someone down real fucking good.
But
if he's lucky, that's all he needs. I have the feeling it ain't that simple, though.
Mm-hmm. I just want someone to love. I'm a complicated man.
Like I said, the problem again, Bakura, he's a complete head case on this. Let's be honest. He's a royal head case on this, and with good reason. To make a long and short of it, Bakura basically, after witnessing all this shit, is anyone really right in the head by that point? Even after all that, even if he did manage to get therapy, you see why he wants revenge. Why he basically is trying so hard to off the Pharaoh. Because he thinks the Pharaoh was directly responsible.
Fucking shite.
But it's all one big, complete misunderstanding that lasted thousands of years.
Honestly, I got nothing more for Bakura, because I'm just like, y'all do your thing, man.
Bakura, if you need someone to dig down, I can give you my address.
Zammy, no, sweetie, no. You're not.
Hon, your thoughts?
You're not my mom. Shut
Crossy,
up.
Why are you denying her, Crossy?
Crossy, your thoughts?
I don't fucking care.
Are you sure? This is Bakura we're talking about. You don't have anything to say regarding this motherfucker.
He fucking cheats.
How? I wonder. I'm actually curious how.
In season 5, they were. Atem and the others were so close to victory, and yet he freaking uses a freaking Uno reverse card and reverses time, and then fucking.
About that, he technically used the rules. The problem was, you have to remember, Yamabakura is a big fan of basically withholding information. He used the rules legally. The problem was he didn't tell the Pharaoh all of the rules. That's how much of a dick he is.
Whatever, he fucking cheated. Man.
It's not so much him cheating, it's literally just withholding info. That's the sad part. But moving on from that, Mizuki, your thoughts. I'm pretty sure you're thirsty for Bakura anyway.
I have nothing to say.
You want to join the Bakura squad and get digged down?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I'm leaving. I'm going to get Bakura. I'll be right back.
No.
Anyway, all right. So I think we've all made our statements on Bakura.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So now we go to poor Ryo Bakura, his light half. Oh boy.
I feel bad for him.
Considering what he's dealing with, you can't help but feel bad for him. He's very innocent like Yugi and naive to a fault. He's also the reincarnation and counterpart to Thief King Bakura. And he also owned the Millennium Ring because his father basically gave it to him. Unfortunately for him, he's also been possessed for most of the series because of the said Millennium Ring. And also was a witness to his mom and sister dying in a horrible accident when he was a kid. And hilarious and ironically, despite his innocent nature, he has an odd interest in anything occult related, resulting in the theme of his deck. So, looking at his deck, you would never think someone so innocent would have such a creepy horror-related deck. So basically, what's your thoughts on poor Ryo Bakura?
He needs a hug and therapy.
That's an understatement, considering who he's dealing with.
I agree with what you say.
Honestly, young Ryo Bakura, normal one, has not had it easy. Like Yugi, he needs therapy and a hug.
He needs a
yeah,
whole
this
bunch
one
of
needs a
hugs.
hug. No dicking down. I'm sorry.
He's too precious to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
He's a precious cinnamon roll.
He just wants someone to cuddle.
Though,
Why would you?
let's be honest. Let's be honest with Ryo Bakura. If he was in the bed, he's a fucking bottom. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I'm not trying to dirty him or anything like that. I'm just gonna be spitting out facts.
Understandable.
Yeah, like
He a fucking boredom.
A lot of his faults are not even his really major fault of his. It's just he's dealt with a lot of shit. A father who's barely ever home. His mom and sister dead right in front of him. He's had it rough. And that's not even adding into the whole bullshit from his dark half. The kid's had it rough. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, unlike Yami Yugi, Yami Bakura does not exactly, just, ask for consent of taking over his body.
He just does it.
Yep, and threatens him if he tries to squeal about it. It's ironic that such an innocent kid would happen to be the reincarnation of the legendary vicious King of Thieves himself. Yikes.
Yeah.
I suppose that reincarnation to being an innocent cinnamon roll was supposed to be his redemption, but I have a feeling somewhere along the way, somebody fucked up.
Yeah, I think you set the baby down the wrong ladder there, God.
Or Yami Bakura said, no, you're going to be my bitch.
Moving on to the next character, because I don't think we got anything to say about softball.
Okay, so Merrick Ishtar. He owned the Millennium Rod, developed a psychotic split personality due to a borderline abuse he endured from his family's customs as the Pharaoh's tomb keepers. He killed his own father as a child out of extreme distress. In the dub, he was sent to the Shadow Realm, never seen again. Let's be honest here. We're going straight to the sub. The sub version, the original version, he killed his father with a fucking knife. He legit magically pinned his father to a wall and stabbed his father to death. And basically he mind controlled God knows how many people in his quest to seize the Pharaoh's power for himself. Started up the Rare Hunters, teamed up with Yami Bakura, and eventually redeemed himself. This kid's got a troubled history, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
And largely because he wants to, be free to think for himself. So, your thoughts on Merrick?
Normal Merrick, again, is like soft boy Bakura, but a little more strict and stuff. He was soft, but because of the abuse and all that shit,
He was kind of a dick if you think about it.
Yeah, fuck his father.
Yeah. He was a good boy.
Was responsible for this to at least some extent, let's be honest. I mean, let's be fair here. His dark half didn't really take over until, the finals of Battle City. So it was, a lot of his actions were all him.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have any particularly noble intentions. He just wanted to, he felt like he had to get payback on, he blamed the Pharaoh for the life he had to live.
Though there is one duel I got emotionally at that he did with the mind control shit, Joey versus Yugi.
That was directly his fault, and we can't really blame the psychotic half of him for that because...
No, because that was actually Merrick that did that.
Yep. He's basically what would... I feel like Merrick, in that sense, would be what would happen if Kaiba had access to a Millennium item.
Oh, God.
Let's be honest.
I mean, you aren't wrong.
Honestly, against Merrick, if anything, he was just mostly on the set path of revenge. He's not that too. And if anything, he had a change of heart near the end once his split half took over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's okay. He's not too bad. He's just a kid with a temper tantrum because of bullshit. Can't really say much.
I feel bad for him. He couldn't see the outside world.
Yeah.
He had to become an albino and stay inside. You want to know what I feel bad for? You want to know what I really feel bad for when he was a kid? When they had to tattoo that fucking thing on his back.
That wasn't tattoos. I'm gonna stop you right there. That wasn't a tattoo. That was literally carved into his back with a knife. Those are scars.
Yeah, that was carved in. Yeah, those are scars. They carved that into.
They
his
just
back
make them look like tattoos in the fucking in the anime because let's be honest, who wants to see a fuck ton of scars like that?
Man, poor guy. He had to go through that carving process while watching Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
They don't have anything to numb the pain.
Well, don't women love men with scars, though?
The death
don't women
silence
love
is
men with
everything.
scars, though? Point is, though, that's the real reason I feel bad for normal American. Just because of that alone. I only feel bad for him because of they had to do that shit to him when he was a kid. That's
and it was family
reason.
custom, apparently.
Custom my ass. This, I don't give a shit if it's custom. You stick a knife at me, it's going right in your throat.
Oh.
Well, if you think about it, that's exactly what happened to Merrick's father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would go mad too. I'm just saying.
At least he had Beverly Hills Chihuahua to watch while it happened.
God damn it.
Just ouch. And as for Yami Merrick, fuck him.
Now Yami Merrick is something else.
God
he can
damn
tell
it.
the shit out of me whenever he wants.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Oh no.
All I have to say about Yami Merrick is like two things. One, what that tongue do, and two, here's what it does.
Oh my god.
What's next? A tongue contest between him and Kakyoin?
Please dom me, daddy.
Hello, Pinky boys. Who wants to give Melvin a hug?
Oh, a little fun fact about Yami Merrick that we have to acknowledge here. Yami Merrick, despite his run as a villain, you can't deny that, if you look in the Nomad chat real quick, this reaction was caused by none other than Joey fucking Wheeler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason is simple. Merrick was so disturbed, so horrified, so completely thrown out of sorts that he almost lost his lunch at the very thought of losing to Joey.
What I find fucked up about this is legitimately how he could have actually. I almost felt bad. Joey should have won that one.
He really should have, let's be honest.
But because of plot reasons and all that, which I find stupid, but I know it's not legitimate plot reasons, but that's what I'm calling it because that's what it feels like, to be honest.
Yeah.
He legitimately, Joey just stamina just fucking gave out at the end because he taking a hit from the Wing Driver Raw. This is what did him in. He legitimately could have ended the duel if the attack went through.
Like I said, the worst part about this, again, it was purely due to just complete bullshit that Merrick, let's be fair here, Merrick, for all the crap he gave Joey, for all the misery and pain and absolute just complete fuckery he put Joey through, after all the shit he did against Mai, after all the shit he did against pretty much anyone he faced, this was the one duel that he was not sure if he could actually survive. But yeah, like, for better or worse, this was one of the most sadistic psychopaths in the entire series. And yet,
sadistic psychopath that can...
And yet, let's be honest here. For all his skill, for all of his bluster, for all of, like, everything he stood for, he was terrified at the thought of losing to Joey, of all people.
Also, let's not forget how Kaiba almost lost to Joey.
Uh-huh.
That was a funny thing. But yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Yami Merrick, people.
Sadistic psychopath that can me whenever he wants.
Oh, you want to be the first to give me a hug, then?
In another way, yes.
Oh my lord. Okay, but as we said, he eventually redeemed himself and actually gave his Millennium Rod to the Pharaoh.
Giggity.
Yep.
He can give me the Millennium Rod whenever he wants.
Anywho.
For the next time on Retro Warriors.
Yugi, the true test will now begin!